What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Around the League with Ash. Hope you guys are all enjoying all the content we're bringing to you on Wise Up TV, guys. And also, before I get into the show tonight, I do also want to apologize for not being on All You Can Eat Warriors last night, but Anton and the new bro for Wise Up Warriors Fan TV, they absolutely killed it. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content yesterday. And Levon obviously always kills it there too. Unfortunately, fortunately, really, I had my Mrs. Dad's birthday dinner. So a lot of birthdays going on in a short time period. Also, shout out to my Mrs. Little sister, Ebony. Her birthday today. When I say little sister, she's a mum and all that now and all that. But shout out to Ebony, incredible person. And yeah, you know, happy birthday and all that. But yes, I see all you guys in the chat. I've only just had to rearrange my show a little bit because it's been massive news and we'll get to it really, really shortly. But thank you to all the usual viewers currently right now. Hori. What is going on? It's the first time I've actually seen you on the channel, so appreciate you coming through. Jazzy, always here. Shout out to you, my bro. And Jackson, yes, that is what I'm going to be touching on a little bit later on as well. So obviously, brand new news just breaking that Sean Johnson has re-signed with the Warriors for one more year for 2025, $700K per season. So we might as well get straight into it. Other things I'm going to be talking about in the show too, guys, obviously is Brad Arthur being sacked from the Parramatta Eels. That's the biggest one of the biggest news going around at the moment. Second on that, Wayne Bennett obviously signing with the Rabbitohs. Another couple of talking points around that because the Parramatta Eels definitely really wanted to bring him over, but things didn't happen that sort of way. And then a little bit of Origin talk to spice up everyone is getting ready for Origin coming up soon. Obviously, Cam Munster is a massive out in Origin, so I do want to chat to you guys about those thoughts around that. And also news coming out that Isaiah Papali'i might be looking for a new home for 2025. He's breaking his contract with the West Tigers at the end of the season. So a couple of food for thought for if anyone wants, Isaiah Papali'i back home at the Warriors. We'll have to soon see that. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, coming through. But we may as well touch on the first little bit of news that we can get through here. And that is obviously Sean Johnson re-signing for 2025. So amazing news overall. If you guys know me personally and all that, you know that Sean Johnson is one of the main reasons why I follow the Warriors. I started following the Warriors. He's my favorite player of all time. Before that, I used to love Darren Lockyer and that. My dad's a massive Broncos fan and stuff, but always followed just everyone in rugby league. I just enjoyed watching rugby league. And then when I saw Sean Johnson, he was the main reason why I became a Warriors fan. And I absolutely just loved the way he played football. He was just so electric. And, watching his old touch highlights, me and some of the boys in high school and that, we used to watch his touch highlights all the time at school during sport and rec and all that sort of stuff. And then going through and watching him through under 20s, absolutely kill it back when he used to wear the headgear and that, and then moving on to his actual career. So, massive, massive news that Sean Johnson is re-signing for 2025. And obviously, guys, this is a Warriors channel, so we should celebrate this. I think it's absolutely incredible. But still, there's a lot of talk around it, obviously, is, Tamade Martin had a really good game of the weekend playing 7. Shawnee's been hampered a little bit of injury this season, which he was getting through last year really, really well with all the injuries sort of toll that usually he gets through. Because unfortunately, that's the only thing that has ever held Shaun Johnson back, in my opinion, from being an all-time great, in my opinion, is more so injury history and all that sort of stuff. So awesome news that Shaun Johnson is going to be re-signing with the Warriors 2025, $700K. And also from reports, he knocked back a $1.7 million contract from the Roosters. And I think that was over a couple of years or something too. So really that equates to around about the same sort of price, I think, around about that. So don't quote my math too well. I'm not the best mathematician ever, but again, thank you so much to continue, guys, in the chat as well. Bobby Carr, Horsey, what's going on? Coco Jumbo and Jackson Ford. Yeah, great news, 100%. Great news to see SJ re-signing 2025. Make sure you comment down below your thoughts overall, or chuck it in the chat, your thoughts overall. I'm really excited. I think he can definitely go around one more. It's more so the fact of whether he is going to get his injuries in check and all that. Jose, my bro. Did you hear Isaiah Papali'i will leave the Tigers? Yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit later on, my brother. I'm definitely having thoughts of whether maybe we can lure him back, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what really happens there with Isaiah Papali'i. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, guys, massive news, obviously, with Shaun Johnson coming back home, staying home, sorry, in 2025. He already came back home, but staying on for another year. He's definitely got all the experience in the world. And just, yeah, an absolute killer. So I really, really do love having him around the club. And he's my favorite player of all time, guys. I want to see him go out the best way possible, hopefully with a chip under his belt, with a nice little ring. Or even last year, I felt like, we all felt like he should have won Dally M. So I would have loved to see that, just to help the argument of Shaun Johnson being one of the greatest Warriors of all time. If not, he's already considered that, but would be another driving home point sort of SJ being incredible. Colos, I think he can go one more. Just wants him to play like 2023. Yeah, and I think a lot of the problems with that more so it's last year he didn't really have any of these injury troubles. Now they're starting to come back into his game a little bit. He's playing a lot tougher these days from what a lot of people are saying back in the day. Obviously he's playing through injury. Obviously the Achilles injury we know about this year. He had about 6 weeks of not training with the squad, and that's what it felt like that a lot of our team's combinations and that were faltering because of that. And we were too reliant on SJ, hoping that he'll just get over this, the injury and really spark something in our squad. But I felt like, we saw over the last weekend with Penrith Panthers that maybe it would have been better if we rested him a little bit earlier and hopefully him to get back into form. But I'm sure with SJ, he's a competitor. That's what we're learning about. Obviously, SJ now is if you didn't think about that before, guys, now you see that he's playing for injury. He really wants to win games. He's really fired on. Last year was incredible. I reckon he can replicate the similar things this year to next year as well. And to whoever he needs to hang up the boots, I think he's an incredible player of all time. Jose, SJ, so glad he's keen to carry on and help get the ultimate prize, the premiership, for the first time for the Warriors, 100%. And Jazzy, happy with SJ signing and really hope his rig holds up well. Maybe stop over calling the ball so much. Yeah, those little things too, man. We'll get to that a little bit later on too. Also, my late little thoughts over last week's game. If you ever got checked out the post-match, full credit to the boys. My thoughts really mostly on that. It was pretty emotional, obviously, after the Penrith game. But even then, I thought we played some really solid footy in that game. There was definitely moments our defense is still not fully up to scratch, but to put 22 points on one of the better defensive teams in the competition, which, I know that in games past, they've looked like a lot of people are bringing up, they're looking shaky and stuff. But I would also say that they still held teams to a decent score margin. Their defense never really lacked a little bit. Their attack was more of the thing that really never got over the top of teams, usually with the Penrith Panthers. But what we were really good at in that game is, we grew into that game. We had a lot of adversity and really held in strong. And I think that's something we can take in for the rest of the season and build on that for momentum overall. But yeah, massive news for the Warriors there, guys. Shaun Johnson there, 2025, $700K per year. Really excited to have him continue having him around the club. Next little bit of news, guys, I want to get through quickly too is obviously what's your thoughts around Brad Arthur? He is the second coach this year now to get sacked. Obviously, it's really disappointing news. In my opinion on this news overall, with Brad Arthur, I think that like, I understand why Parramatta is looking to go the opposite way now, and like, but I felt like that maybe they could have gave it a little bit longer, see when Moses came back off injury, see how it all shaped up for the rest of the season, I'm guessing like that. Because either way, you're going to put Trent Barrett in that role to finish out the rest of the season with the Parramatta Eels. And I don't really see any improvement under Trent Barrett comparatively to with Brad Arthur. In my opinion, I reckon Brad Arthur could have rallied the troops a little bit better for the end of the season and probably hang it up after the season if they were going to roll that way and they were going to look at bringing in Wayne Bennett. And they obviously missed with that target there too. But yeah, it's I'm disappointed. I understand it. But I just think Parramatta's improved so much with Brad Arthur, but there has been a good period now for where they've been lacking a little bit. Again, my only argument to it is number one, like, why don't you just let him to ride out for the rest of the season? And then, whatever your next coach comes in, bring in for the preseason and stuff. And also, secondly, like, just wait till Mitchell Moses comes back off injury. Like, it feels kind of like crazy to sack him after a Melbourne Storm performance that Melbourne usually always, like, in a way, I don't want to say like, but they usually always dominate the Parramatta Eels in like at Suncorp Stadium. It just seems to be dry track. It's just a perfect stadium for the Melbourne Storm. And that even though the Melbourne Storm lost Cam Munster in that game as well, like Parramatta were still going like shot before this one. Like, it kind of felt like just wait till Moses comes back in, see what they can do for the rest of the season. They don't make it. They don't make it. Just tell Brad Arthur this is his last chance, or not even that. Just say, listen, by the end of this year, you're gone. Then we're going to bring in someone new and see what he could have done with this group for the end of the year. But now it seems like, the Parramatta Eels have just chalked up their season. In my opinion, I just don't see, Trent Barrett rolling out the rest of the season and improving with the squad that we got here with the Parramatta Eels. To have a decent squad on paper, I just feel like, out of the two coaches here, I've seen Brad Arthur really carry a squad like this into like final series and stuff like that and rally the troops. Trent Barrett, unfortunately, with all the other jobs that he's been given, hasn't been able to do that. Mostly with lesser squads as well, but even with that Manly squad that he had, just wasn't able to really turn them around there too. Jacko here, yeah, Barrett ain't a head coach, but is a good assistant. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Totally agree. And that's why I do feel for Brad Arthur in this situation overall. It honestly looks like Parramatta is just putting a line through their season right now and just trying to see what's out in the market. But that's a whole nother argument too, guys. And I want to give it out to you guys in the chat too. What's your thoughts overall? Like, who replaces Brad Arthur, the Parramatta Eels? Because there's not really any like really good viable targets on the market, in my opinion. I had a couple I threw up here. Justin Holbrook's one that they could probably maybe look at. I know he's currently at the Roosters currently. I'm pretty sure he's the assistant coach of the Roosters right now. And that's why a lot of speculation when Dave Fafita was supposed to go to the Roosters that had a little bit to do with it. He could be a coach there, but obviously we've seen what he did with the Titans. Very similar build between the two teams, attacking football with the Parramatta Eels. Usually they're a very like heavy attack reliant team, even though like the good years when the Parramatta Eels made the grand final at defensively, they actually were really, really strong in those games. Isaiah Papali'i back in those days. We'll talk about him a little bit later on. But like, I don't know if that's really what will suit the Parramatta Eels, like a really heavily attacking type coach. Job Morris is another one that gets thrown up left, right, and center. He's someone that obviously had the Sharkies job a little while ago when he had SJ and Chad Townsend and all the injuries around that squad. And I felt like a lot of people felt like it was a little bit early for his dismissal for the Sharkies, but ended up being to their avail, obviously getting Fitzgibbon and them flying at the moment the way they are. But still, I believe John Morris is a good coach. But even then, like, I just, I don't know if he's good enough to replace Brad Arthur here and do better jobs there. Jason Riles is another one that a lot of people are chuckling out there. And another one's Dean Young. So really, what are your thoughts overall, guys? Like, who do you think? Jazzy got Riles and Tuvey as assistant. Yeah, I can see that. Tuvey's always the one that's like gets chucked around usually back in the day. Not hearing a lot of Tuvey at the moment, unless like recently it's just come out. Jacko here, James Graham wants Webster to go to the Eels. I know, like, mate. Jimmy, stop that, mate. Stop that. Mel Hayash, fantastic news regarding SJ. Yeah, 100%, 100%. If you haven't gone checked out my thoughts on that just before, go rewind the video at any time. Also, guys, if you miss out any sort of like looks of like you missed out on the show or anything like that, feel free to jump on Wise Up TV, rewatch the stream as you're able to do on Wise Up TV and all that. Ex-Origin player says he'd love to coach again. Yeah, with Yeah, Tuvey and that. Yeah, Riles. Yeah. I could see Riles maybe being the one to really jump in and do something here. But again, like, we're going off rookie coaches most likely here. Yeah, in my opinion, there's no real other big options that are looking out there. I've seen Sam Burgess' name get chucked up, but I don't think Sam Burgess will take another job in the NRL. Like, he's currently under contract in Super League with Warrington, but I won't see him come back to the NRL unless it's probably the Rabbitohs, in my opinion, even though, like, I don't know how their relationship's going currently right now, but, that's just my thoughts overall. My other question to you guys too is, where does Brad Arthur go after this? Because honestly, like a guy that has that sort of standard of, dragging like a team like the Parramatta Eels that were in like the basement pretty much as soon as he took over, and really dragged them to a final series and made them play the best sort of football as he is. The one name I want to throw up there too, and I don't think this team will do it because I think they're pretty stuck with the coach that they've got now on that. But yeah, like I think that, is there a chance that Brad Arthur might get a look in the Tigers job? Like, I know the Tigers with Benji, like they're improving a little bit. They want to stick with Benji in that, but like, I know that, the NRL can be one of those, like, really like crazy leagues that anything can happen really quickly. The Tigers could be looking at what Benji's doing right now and not be happy with his progress currently and just put Brad Arthur in there. I know that will kind of like go back on what they've done and really they're trying to grow and so stop being that team and so reactionary in that. But I think Brad Arthur would be a good option if they held out without Benji and all that. It would have been awesome to see. And maybe he would add a pool with like players like Mitchell Moses. And, it feels that end up breaking contract, bring Mitchell Moses back to the Tigers, that sort of thing. So that was playing in my head a little bit. Other jobs he could be going for, I'm not too sure. A lot of other areas are really covered. The Rabbits, we'll talk on them a little bit soon with Wayne Bennett and that. But yeah, it's really interesting sign overall. All right, Horsey, who do you think will finish higher on the ladder at the end of the season, Eels or Bunnies? That's a really tough one, man. The way the Bunnies are playing at the moment is, honestly, they had a little bit of a better game the last couple of weeks and stuff like that. But Parramatta, man, like we'll go through the stats a little bit later on too. They are really falling behind very, very quickly. If I had to choose between the two, it looks like that. Oh man, it's a lot of them. I'd say I'm gonna go the Rabbits at the moment still. I think, the halfback of Mitchell Moses coming back will give him a little bit more direction than what, the Rabbits are still playing with at the moment. I know Cody Walker's in there this weekend. We'll have to see how that goes. I think Cody will do a good job at 7, but, comparatively out of the halves and stuff, I think Mitchell Moses and Dylan Brown will probably steady the ship a little bit better than what was happening at the Rabbits at the moment. But if you're going at more impactful players, I think Latrell is more likely to maybe try to turn around the Rabbits at the moment too. So it could go either way, but I'm going to stick with, I'm going to stick with the Rabbits. Going to be lower than Parramatta at the moment. Jacka here, get a grip, Ash. Benji will be there for at least another season. Yeah, I know, man. Like, it's just a name that I really threw up, bro. It's more the fact of like Brad Arthur, like off contract now. It's really like, knowing the Tigers and their history, like they can quite easily flip on what they talk about a lot. And I'm hoping they're not a team like that anymore. But, that's a team where I could really see that Brad Arthur could, obviously a struggling franchise, can really, get behind him. And he's proven to turn around franchises like this, like with Parramatta. So any other teams you could really throw up there, like the Doggies have got Serraldo. So I don't really see that happening. And Serraldo's slowly changing the view of the Doggies currently right now. There's no other teams really I could see. The Titans are pretty stuck with Desi at the moment. I don't see him going away from Desi. Let's go on the ladder, actually. I'll see, if there's anyone throwing up at the moment. But again, like the only team I could think of that is struggling at the moment that could really do with a head coach is possibly like, and Benji, I feel for Benji because I want to see him become a good head coach, but it's the only team I could really see, honestly. Maybe Brad just sits and waits out for another job. I'm not too sure. Whether that other job maybe becomes the Cowboys if Todd Payton maybe loses his job there. But I think they're going to stick solid with Toddy at the moment. Then again, that could change really quickly. There's no other jobs in my mind. Like, the Knights with O'Brien. O'Brien's still sitting in the 8 with the Knights. I can't see that happening. Manly, you can see that. Maybe if they go on a little bit of pressure, maybe they'll need a new head coach. Brad will go to the Dolphins, lol. Nah, Brad will not go to the Dolphins because they got, what's his name? The Tongan head coach. He's going to be taking over. It's just lost out of my mind. But yeah, he's taken over after Wayne Bennett. That was the whole like process of what that goes on now. As long as we don't get the spoon, I don't care. What's that? Oh, we're talking about Sean Johnson here. Jackson Ford, Rabbits are on the up. They should have won on the weekend. Yeah, that's fair. I just feel like maybe the Cowboys are on the down as well. There's a little bit of between. But I think, was HQ. I do believe that, Latrell, I would love to see him back at center, but I don't really see. I don't know. It looks like they're just going to try keep progressing with him being at fullback, being one of their highest, most influential players that they've got at the club currently right now, other than Cam Murray, who's currently out of the injury. So, yeah. Yeah, guys. Yeah, no. So it was really, really interesting thoughts overall. Again, my last little thoughts on Brad Arthur is more of the fact of it just feels very early. Like, I feel like he probably could have had, they could have sat down with him and been like, listen, I'll give you the rest of the season. Try and get it as far as you can, and then we'll go from there. But really, really interesting news for Parramatta. And honestly, I continue to go back to it just seems like they're putting a line for their season. Whether they believe that obviously Barrett can really turn it around that's up to them. But for me, in my opinion, I can't see Barrett turning this around. I think the players, if they get Moses back in that, they'll steady the ship a little bit to really get him away from that wooden spoon. I still think at the moment, by the looks of it, they might be in a bottom 4 race. I'm not too sure. We're still waiting on, those other teams to really find themselves out and really fall out of the 8 discussions, stuff like that. It's a really close league at the moment, and we're seeing it now with teams like the Rabbits have fallen off the pace completely. Parramatta have now fallen off the pace completely. The Titans are still finding their form a little bit, but not getting it chugging along at the moment. They're still having moments in games where they completely fall away. Yeah, there's a lot of teams really. The Tigers look more improved, but they're still not improving enough to be out of that bottom 4 discussion at the moment. So, yeah, really everything's up in the air in this league at the moment. It's really, really interesting. Jack here. Now, Brad's time was up to let him go wipe the season and find new coach as well before the preseason. Yeah, my only argument to that will be, bro, is more the fact of they could have easily gone listen, you have the rest of the year to play it out. And while we do that, we're going to look for a new head coach. And just, let him have the time with the squad to really release him. And I know he didn't get he didn't win a grand final, but he got into a grand final. And I feel like there's a little bit, I don't know. It could have been done a little bit of a different way, in my opinion, but it is a ruthless league at the moment. And that's what it is. NRL is ruthless. So I guess it just is what it is. Just honestly, in my opinion, I don't see any other head coach on the market currently that's really going to do anything there. Don't worry about his interviews, DH. Just worry about what he says. Yeah, Christian Wolf. That's it. Christian Wolf. That's the name. That's the name that escaped me. All I knew, Tongan head coach. But yeah, that was the whole plan with Wayne Bennett. And while we're touching on Wayne Bennett, we may as well switch it over, guys. Obviously, Wayne Bennett signs with the Bunnies. From all reports, I'm pretty sure it was a $3 million contract over 3 years. So really interesting news there. You guys already knew from when I first kind of touched on this story to start with Wayne Bennett and the Rabbits. I didn't love it. I think that the Rabbitohs need to start distancing themselves from Wayne Bennett if they want to become a club for the future. For the next 3 years, they're probably going to be really, really good. Let's be honest, Wayne Bennett does this. But after that is really where they fall apart every single time. It's a lot of the big problems when Wayne Bennett leaves is because the club gets so reliant on Wayne Bennett doing a lot of the good work at the club. And as soon as he leaves, the guys up top just don't know how to really work their job and continue to really build success from there. It's kind of a little bit of the worry of what's going to happen maybe with the Dolphins, but usually if they've got some really good heads up there, they can carry on. Sort of the Broncos are just trying to find their way right now to turn everything around. Other teams have really struggled with it, like the Rabbits. They were set up with, Demetrio was set to be head coach. Bennett left him with all these players, all these riches, pretty much the same team that he got to a grand final with and gone here you go. There you go, continue on. And then when it fell apart, it's pretty much just you can blame Demetrio a little bit as well. But honestly, from the top of it, me too, I think you got to blame the people above him as well. And it always comes back to the whole thing of you can't just have that safety blanket of just we'll just continue to re-sign Wayne Bennett. He's 70-something now. He's only got a certain amount of time left in the game. If you want to be a club that's going to continue on and really grow for the future, you can't just keep relying on Wayne Bennett to get you out of a hole. That's just my honest thoughts overall, and you got to learn to grow from that. There could be positives out of it. Obviously, Wayne is talking a lot about, bringing back Sam Burgess over from England with Warrington currently right now. I think he's got a couple of years left on his contract at Warrington. He's only played out his first year right now. He's playing out currently. So it probably won't happen very, very in the short, near future. But if that's maybe the way they want to look for the future as well. But yeah, honestly, in my opinion, it's a really, really interesting play from the Rabbits. Tony, thank you so much, my brother. Appreciate the $10. Love this stuff. We'll support forever. Thank you so much, my man. Really do appreciate you, Tony. You're incredible, man. You're always around the channel, so I really do appreciate you. Jacka here, but Bunnies don't need a rebuild, just a couple of middles, and they have a top 4 side, but they're aging, so Bennett would have 2 or 3 years is a good choice. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, it's been seen now that when Bennett leaves that club, it just falls apart again. They like the higher ups don't re-sign middles. It only happens when Wayne Bennett's there. That's my thoughts overall. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like teams do become too reliant, especially teams that have had Wayne Bennett in the building. They're reliant of like, oh, when we bring him back, he'll kind of save the show. I know they don't want to be like that, but it always ends up being that way. The Broncos did that for a couple of years there where it kind of looked like it fell apart without him. Brought him back. They steadied the ship a little bit. They still look back at the up. And my honest thing is, like, I never thought Wayne Bennett's been the problem when he leaves the club and it all goes wrong. I always do think that it's the management of those clubs that become reliant on Wayne Bennett. And Wayne always leaves them. Like, the riches that he left with the Rabbits was, all those players that were still there, that were still playing, top-fledged footy. It was Jason Michio's choice to let go of Adam Reynolds and all that sort of stuff, and just the club in general. Bennett was there. I'm sure that, Reynolds probably would have got an extra contract and those sort of things. You've seen that from Bennett's history in the past. So I don't know. Like, for me, they'll probably, again, like, I agree with you. They'll probably be back in the top 4 next coming years. That's incredible. All goods. But I think for long-term success in a club, and if you want to build to be like, currently we're starting to see the models changing from just signing players and getting it done that way for the next couple of years and then letting everything go. If you want to be sustainable in the league currently right now, you got to go through your juniors. And the Rabbits still have some great juniors in that. They're not doing the right things as a club to sustain themselves for 5 to 10 years. 3 years, all goods. But after that, you know what I mean? It's just, for me, that's just is what it is. If they win a comp, they will not care if they fall apart for a season or two anyways. Yeah, that's true, 100%. But if they don't win a comp, which is, they didn't win a comp with Wayne Bennett before, you know what I mean? Like, they end up falling back in the hole again, and it crumbled badly. Like, they could possibly win a wooden spoon this year and doesn't look any better for what it is right now. So would you rather pick up multiple wooden spoons with like maybe a shot once or twice when Wayne Bennett's back for grand final and that? Or would you rather just have continued success to end up growing to multiple grand finals in the future? You know what I mean? That's my whole thoughts on it. I know it's a really tough league to do that, but for me, I'd rather sustain success than just 1 or 2 years of amazing moments and then be up shit's creek again next week. You know what I mean? That's just my thoughts overall. That's my honest opinion. Mantis, Brad is a good coach, though. 11 years is a lucky run without a premiership and consistent final appearances. He will get snapped up by ESL or NRL. $1.5 million player. Cha-ching. Yeah, back on the Brad Arthur news. Yeah, 100%, man. I think he's too good of a coach to be sitting in the wings for a while, but yeah. Jose, do you guys rate Kaloma-Tangi? I rate Kaloma-Tangi. I think he's got a ton of potential. I think he's a really, really strong edge back rower. A lot of aggression. I think, a lot of what, like, at the moment, not playing to his fullest potential, like, you're not playing with a ton of energy because that whole club's just down on form at the moment. And, when it's like a toxic, like a flu, you know what I mean? When you're in bad form, like you've seen it kind of with us as well in moments too, it's like it filters through just every part of the playing group. It's not just, 1 or 2 players, that's just the way it is. So, yeah. Just Nathan Brown. Yeah, funny ass. Good old Nathan Brown. Jack here. So who the hell would you have had instead of Bennett? Honestly, bro, like they put themselves in that whole position of what, like, I don't know if Demetrio was going to get him past that point at all. Like, that obviously that wasn't the bad way to go. And I feel like that was the only place they could go, with Wayne Bennett. I'm more so saying that they put themselves in this predicament due to the upper top. It's not the head coach for me. It's the above. Wayne Bennett is so good at like coming into a club and he's so experienced that he goes, you sit there, you do this, let me worry about all this. No other head coach is going to go in there and do that same sort of thing, in my opinion. So I don't see any other head coach really doing a good job of the Rabbits at the moment, unless she's hit a spark with someone like a Jason Riles or something like that. You know what I mean? Or even like, they could have filtered in with like trying to keep Sammy Burgess if they really did believe in that way. But more so the fact of like, really nail down your development and do other little things that is going to be sustainable success, where Wayne's obviously going to come to the club and, bring a whole lot of talent to the club. That a lot of other players will be waiting in the wings a little bit there too. And he's only going to be there for 3 years. He's probably going to run away again. They're going to be put back in the hole. And that's my whole thing. It's like, it's more of the fact, I'm not saying that is a bad decision of Wayne Bennett. I just don't think that club should be looking at Wayne Bennett as a safety blanket is way I'm looking at this at the moment. It really does look like, the Rabbits are just waving a white flag saying, we don't know what we're doing anymore because you're not at this club. And he's coming off contract. Let's get him back in here. So honestly, there's no real coach on the market right now. There's really none that is going to do as good a job of Wayne Bennett. So I agree with you there, but I don't think there's anything else really on the market either that's going to change that. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't know. It's the same thing with the Brad Arthur situation with the Eels. There's no other head coach that I can see right now that I've seen on form that is going to change around the Parramatta Eels unless you go really, really in depth. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts overall. I'm not down on Bennett. I think Bennett's incredible. And as I said to you before, my bro, is more of the fact like Bennett's going to get him to the top 4. I completely agree with you. He's going to bring him success for 3 years, 100%. When he leaves, what's going to happen? And it's all relied now on the guys up top. That's what I'm saying. So I'm trying to nail into everyone here. It's like, Bennett's going to kill it. I'm not saying anything about Bennett. It's not bad on Bennett at all. I think Bennett's incredible. But like, we got to come to a point now where other coaches got to stand up, but not even that. They're up top, the management of the actual South Sydney Rabbitohs are got to pull their weight a little bit. I felt like they fell behind with Jason Demetrio, in my opinion. That's just the way I think about it. I don't think he's got a lot of time left, so they can't really go back to that. What's HQ thoughts on the team list this week, Ash, for the Warriors? Yeah, I thought it was a pretty decent team list. Obviously, continuing on with the formations that we had last week, obviously with our spine and stuff. But going back to I think there's going to be a late change, whether it is CHT or it's going to be Paulie Roach come onto the bench, because I don't think we're going to run just Lussick at 80 minutes in the hooker, coming off a head knock and all that. And secondly, I'm hearing that, Rocco Berry is not going to be there. It's still in a sling from what I'm hearing, from what I saw. I think Warrior Holic broke it on X and stuff. So I'm thinking Graham Talfa will probably come in that center role. So, yeah, overall. Coco Jumbo, Fitzy. Yeah. Jacko here. Bennett is the only coach who will give them a realistic chance at premiership in the next 3 years. 100%, bro. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but what I'm trying to say is, if you want to know the problem with the Rabbitohs, it's not, it comes to the top. You know what I mean? Their success has either come from Madge, really grinding that team through and pushing them through to getting success there. And then they fell apart. Then Wayne Bennett came in. They came all the way back up to the top again. He left. They fell apart. There's something going on with their management there that needs to learn, help with sustainable success over time. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. So that, I'm not questioning Wayne Bennett's coaching at all. I think he's going to be incredible. I don't know how many times I can say it to you, bro. He's going to get top 4. I do believe that. But my thing is, when he leaves, they're back into the worst position again. We're just seeing it. They're about to be wooden spooners by the looks of it this year if they don't fix up their act right now. And it's more the fact of I feel like that club's not run the right way. It's just the way it is. That's just what I think, honestly. Definitely, Ash. Thanks, Tahi, bro. Jose, I don't think Bennett will set up pathways, but just focus on the current team and get him back into form. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean, Jose. And he's good enough to do it, but he'll change every one of these players into incredible players. He'll get Cody Walker firing back to what Cody wants to, was before. He'll get Latrell back to what he was before. He'll get all these players that have been under him before. He'll even bring over players probably from the Dolphins and other areas that, want to be coached under Wayne Bennett. But usually, when he leaves, the problem's not Wayne Bennett. It's the clubs that he goes to that become reliant on Wayne Bennett. That's what I'm saying. That's what I keep saying. It's not my problem's not with Wayne Bennett signing with the Rabbits. It's the club not being able to sustain itself after Wayne Bennett every time, because the club gets so reliant on such an experienced piece that they just believe that it will just happen as soon as he leaves. He'll continue on from everything he's laid into place. It doesn't happen that way. You got to work twice as hard. That's my whole argument from it. So please, guys, I hope I'm not repeating myself here. It started frustrating me now. Honestly, Wayne Bennett's going to be incredible. He's going to get top 4, 100%. He's probably going to get top 4. If you're going to put money on it now. When he leaves, guess what? They're probably not going to be around that race anymore. And if they do, maybe they'll change something, and that's a good thing. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, it's just not the way it is. Winning a premiership, yeah, win one, then go back to the mud again. That's fine. I guess winning one is all good. But for me, it's like I take more success in sustained, success, like, the Melbourne Storm, Penrith Panthers, even like, the Roosters can be the up and down team over time, but they've had some really good sustained success. A lot of it coming from buying stuff, but for me, if they want to be a very like a top team for the competition for a long time, it's not Wayne Bennett for 3 years. It's what happens after that. That's my honest opinion. Jose, can we talk Origin? What's your prediction team list for the Mighty Maroons? Yeah, we'll probably get into that a little bit later on too, my brother. But yeah, we're going to really touch on it right now. So, moving on from Wayne Bennett and the Rabbitohs, we're going to move on to a little bit of Origin talk. And, I know you guys are going to be loving this because up the Mighty Maroons, but no Munster. No Munster for Queensland. And there's a couple of options getting thrown up currently right now. And that obviously is Tom Dearden and Ezra Mam. And I kind of want to see what your guys' thoughts are. So first of all, I'll give you my whole arguments between the two and that. So in my opinion, as a Queenslander, right now, I think Mam's got the higher, attacking ceiling of I want to see that excitingness and stuff like that. But I think we're going to go with Tom Dearden. And the reason why is number one, I think defensively, Tom Dearden is a better player, by far. I think Ezra Mann's still trying to figure out defensively, more so reads. I think Ezra can bang, but his reads are completely off. For me, Tom Dearden, as we see by the stats here, 5 tries in 11 games, 3 try assists, 5 line breaks assists, 89% tackle efficiency, and a 93 average run meters per game. And you look at Ezra Mam on the other side of the coin. Obviously, he scores more tries, 6 tries in 10 games, so 1 less game, 1 more try. 8 try assists, so definitely higher in that margin there. 10 line break assists, so definitely doubles what Tom Dearden does there. But 76% tackle efficiency, which is really, really low in that position. A lot of it is the smaller body, but also a ton of it is his misreads in defense. And 89 run meters. So actually Tom Dearden runs a little bit more than Ezra Mam, but Ezra Mam's more of because Adam Reynolds, controls the ship. Obviously, they got Reece Walsh as well. When he has his moments, he strikes. So really, for me, it kind of goes either way as a Queenslander. It's I'm happy if we have Mam in there because I'm really excited to see what he could pull out on the big stage here. But I feel like the safest pick, in my opinion, would be Tom Dearden. And he's been there before. He's done it. He's been incredible in that position there. Tom Dearden reminds me of a young Benny Hunt, in my opinion, where Ezra Mam is just this new explosion of energy. And would be really interesting to see if, obviously Slater maybe looks that way a little bit. And in my opinion, I would go Tom Dearden. More as a safer look, but either way, I'm going to get behind Ezra Mam if he makes the Origin squad, guys. I think he'd be incredible. And going on to the future, obviously, Ezra Mam and Tom Dearden will probably be our halves pairing. Maybe Sam Walker is another one we could throw up there as well. But at the moment, as that 6 sort of looking at, I'm going to go with Tom Dearden for this Origin series here. But either way, I'm going to go behind whoever's in that 6 jersey overall, up the Mighty Maroons. But Cam Munster, really, really, it sucks as a Queenslander to see someone on this level that, I know that in times he hasn't been playing the best, club form, as a lot of people always point out. But whenever he hits that big stage, guys, he always turns up for the Maroons. He's incredible in that stage. He's just he turns into a whole different beast. And it's that whole thing of the whole joke of when they chuck on that Queensland jersey, they hit a whole different form. Dane Gagai has been a guy that always comes up with that sort of stuff. At the moment, by the looks of it, Val Holmes is incredible at that center role. He's a little bit, at the moment, losing his form at the moment, but I'm sure you put a Maroon jersey on Valentine Holmes, he'll become one of the best centers in the league again, So I'm really, really excited to see who one of these young boys to step into Cam Munster's place, but also I'm pretty sad, obviously, to lose someone to Cam Munster, because looking at this Origin series with all the injuries of the New South Wales Blues coming into it, seeing that our biggest, tick in our squad was more experienced halves that have done it time and time again in Origin. Now we're just left to DCE, still the only one that we have in that Origin series that has been and done it, in my opinion, in that halves in both teams here. Cam Munster would have been that extra little piece on top. But even Tom Dearden has done it for us in the Origin stage. So that's what's swaying me more so to Tom Dearden overall. Loving the New South Wales chat here, guys. He's a different. Hey, I don't talk anything like that with Origin. I just let the game do the talking, my man. I let the game do the talking. Good old Maroons, baby. Up the Maroons. Jose, will Dane Gagai be picked, you reckon? Nah, in my opinion, I don't think he will. If you want to go for my team, currently off the top of my head, I will probably do a video on YouTube or TikTok, because I think the teams lists go down on Sunday night. It's after this weekend of footy, I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head. But I'll give you a quick rundown where I'm sort of thinking right now. So, like, fullback for the Maroons, I'm probably going Racy for sure. Wingers would be Xavier Coates for me. And then looking in the other side would probably be, it's out of Selwyn Cobbo or Murray Daulangi. Like Muzza, I'm a massive fan of Muzza. I think Muzza's like, if not the best defensive winger in the competition right now, definitely down on form currently as we sit. But I love Murray Daulangi. I think he's incredible. If we chuck him a jersey, I'm sure he'll do a job. Jose, too old for TikToks? No way, bro. No one's too old for TikToks. It's just a platform, bro. In the centers for me right now, it would be the Hammer and Val, in my opinion. I know Gagai has been and done it before, but I think we're just showing that we are growing. We're moving, towards a new era sort of thing. Even though Dan Gagai has been absolutely incredible for us in the past, and I'm sure if he gets picked, he's going to do an amazing job. But in my opinion, I think we're going to go with the Hammer and Valentine Holmes. The halves, as we just spoke on, it's going to be DC and Tom Dearden for me. But, if Ezra Mem gets the 6 jersey, all goods. Up front, off the top of my head, would be Lindsay Collins. And we've got no Tino at the moment and all that. I haven't really put a ton of thought into it. Mo Fodawaker's got to be around about there. Sucks that Jaira's out with injury, because I would have loved Jaira. Oh, Ruben Cotter. Ruben Cotter's got to be up there for me, so probably would go Ruben Cotter and Lindsay Collins. But then number 9 be, obviously the switch between Benny Hunt and Harry Grant. Edge back rollers, this could be an interesting one for me. I'm going to go either Jeremiah Nanai and Jaden Sewer, or, Jeremiah Nanai and Dave Fafita. I'm going to put Jaden Sewer in my squad, though, if whoever it is going to sit on the bench. So I'll probably go Fafita off the bench and Jaden Sewer starting. I think Jaden Sewer's been in an incredible form at the moment. Yeah, you could go Felice Kafusi was HQ. I don't really see, yeah. And Paddy Carrigan. Paddy Carrigan's going to be my 13, my bro. Paddy Carrigan's going to be my 13 for sure. Cotter and Carrigan could play that 13 in the front row. It's really, very similar positions. I think, Carrigan in that 13 jerseys, yeah, he's incredible. But possibly for me, I'd say Carrigan's the best 13 in the league right now. Reece Welch, yeah, 100%. Reece Welch has got to be the fullback. Wise HQ. I don't see anyone else there. Who are your halves, bro, for Maroons? Would be DC and Tom Dearden. For the Blues, I would probably say Nico Hines and Jerome Luai. I'll go Jerome Luai, yeah. That's where I'll be sitting with the Blues. With the Blues, fullback, I'll probably go... this one's tough. If you said to me before the season, I would have said Scotty Drinkwater. I had Scotty Drinkwater over Edwards, over Teddy, because I felt like he's the new era type of fullback and he's something that they could use. But at the moment, I would probably say that Edwards, because of all the chat that's around him currently right now, he's a hard worker at the back end. I think he's going to steal that, fullback jersey. On my wings, I'm going to go Brian Toto, Zach Lomax. I think Lomax has done enough to get a jersey there, but I wouldn't be surprised if, Adokar gets the jersey. But again, I think, Toto, Zach Lomax would be the good pairing there. In the centers, I love Jesse Ramian. I really think that it's going to be Jesse Ramian and Critter. I think they're going to be the center pairing. If not that, it'll probably be Isaac Tungo and Critter, mainly because Latrell said that he probably won't play this year, and I don't think that they'll pick him with him saying that he's not willing to play this year. So that's in my opinion. Up front, you'd have to go Payne Haas if he's healthy and ready to go. I think Mitch Barnett will be roundabouts off the bench and stuff like that, so I'll probably keep him on my bench. I really do think Mitch Barnett's got a massive shot this year to play there. Gerbo's got to be up front for me, in my opinion. At 9, it would probably be Api Coruscant. On the edges, I'd go Ola Kawatsu and Liam Martin. And then in 13, it would be Isaiah Yeo. If Cam Murray was healthy, it'd be Cam Murray all day. But that's in my opinion. Joseph Suoli'i might get the center spot. Yeah, I could see him there too. Honestly, in my opinion, I think that I would love to see Jesse Ramian and see what he could do there. There's also Katoni Staggs that, I don't think he's been in world beater form at the moment, but I think he's been good if they want to go there. But yeah. He's disgraced in the car park after the game of Origin was an NZ. Cody Walker in front row. I don't know where that came from, my bro. I got Damien Cook playing in the center for the Blues. Yeah, well, we all know that Damien Cook is a center, guys. We all know that. That's great. That's great. But yeah, guys, if you want to see the my full team list and all that sort of stuff, keep an eye on my YouTube channel, Ash Thomas on YouTube, guys. I'm pretty sure my link will be in the description. If not, it will be in one of the descriptions anyway. Go check it out. I'll probably do a video this weekend on both, the Blues and obviously the Maroons and my predicted team list there and my thoughts around both these teams here. Obviously, I'm a Maroon, so take it as you will. But yeah, I love it both ways. Watch your TikTok. What's TikTok? Oh God! If you don't know what TikTok is, my brother, I don't know. I don't know how to help you, man. All right. So moving on, I think that that's pretty much all done and dusted. I want to talk about Isaiah Papali'i. The big news that came out today. I think that obviously, from hearing, oh, bro, I've messed up this little banner here, but Isaiah Papali'i is, leaving the Tigers at the end of the season. And I want to see what your thoughts are in the comment section down below, whether you believe that maybe the Warriors could be in for a chance to bring him back home, whether you want him to bring him home as well, because I know he was very up and down for us when we had him earlier. I believe that in my opinion, if we get the best out of Isaiah Papali'i, I would love to have him at the squad, in the squad. It does worry me a little bit that if he gets back home, whether he gets relaxed and gets back into old forms and stuff, because, in the past years, he had moments where he lacks in the contest. Sometimes his brain will turn off. He'd have those sort of moments. But as soon as when he went to the Eels, you saw the potential that he had. And I just wish that our squad could have done that. I think Webby is good enough to get that out of him as well. That's why I'd be more excited for him to come back home. But yeah, I want to see what your thoughts are overall. Hearing the new news, obviously. Jazzy, no thanks to Isaiah. All the best in it, bro. Yeah, I can see that too. He ruined his career going to the Tigers. Yeah, you could see it that way. I think, I'm pretty sure from memory the Eels weren't going to offer him a contract, so he ended up having to chase somewhere. Tigers obviously gave him a juicy offer. He went there, and then I think the Eels reneged and said that, they probably still want him again. He was going to backflip on him. There was even chat even during then that obviously he didn't want to go to the Tigers after all that, and maybe was going to come home to the Warriors. But yeah, it is what it is. But some stats to, help out Isaiah Papali'i and what we could be getting if we end up going for Isaiah Papali'i. In 2023, he held a 93% tackle efficiency. That's really, really good on the edge there. 115 meters per game last year with the Tigers. So good, but not to his best sort of form. And his best form, guys, this is a Parramatta Eels years. Scored 17 tries in 2 years. He had a year where he scored 10 tries, a year where he scored 7. 94% tackle efficiency, so a higher tackle efficiency with the Eels there, and 145 run meters per game. I reckon he'd be damaging on the edge if we ever did bring him back and we were to get the best out of him. I think the only thing that worries us is we've seen him there before, and a lot of people obviously were turned off by him there, and him going to the Tigers. He hasn't been back into that Eels form, so it's kind of was that just Parramatta putting him in a really good position? Brad Arthur has been known to really get the best out of his edge back rollers. Is that a little bit of a worry? But in my opinion, I have trust enough in Webby that if we were to pick up something like someone like Isaiah Papali'i with Fisher Harris coming next year, again, I don't want to put our cap out of whack either. And plus, we got some really good young juniors coming up too. So I'm swaying either way. I could see it happening and being good for us, but I also consider downfalls in it too, because we got players like Halasima and all that. They probably got another year or so of development, but as soon as they touch first grade, those edge back roles that we got coming up, they are going to be on a different level. I believe that personally. I don't want to put too much hype on these young boys, but yeah, I would love to see them possibly over Isaiah Papali'i. But if we want to win, I'm guessing like if we want to get the best Isaiah Papali'i and bring him over, and he brings the Kiwi form, he brings the Eels form, would be in good stead to win something pretty quickly if everything goes right for us. But for sustained success, I probably would see us maybe stay away from Isaiah Papali'i, especially with the money that he'd probably be asking for as well, in my opinion. Jazzy, he'll relax back home in his head. Yeah, just collective patches. That's exactly the worry on Isaiah Papali'i coming home, because obviously we saw it before. He got very relaxed in his role. Didn't look like he was working hard enough for us. And like, I know it's pretty harsh to say about a footy player. Like, they work hard. They all work hard, but it did look like he wasn't improving under us. He went to the Eels and showed that he did, but a lot of that maybe could have been him going away from home, away from his comfort zone. So bring him back into his comfort zone, he could go back into those old habits. So, that's my thoughts there. I would prefer to us play for our juniors and, continue to get those through, because I think we've got some of the best juniors coming up. Jose, he might go to Manly. Yeah, Manly would actually be a pretty interesting place for him. I don't know if Manly would look at actually going with him, because they got Ben Trbojevic. Obviously, Benny's got to get his injuries in check. Corey Waddell's been actually doing pretty good there, but he would be an upgrade, in my opinion, like an early upgrade. I don't know too many other teams that will probably chase him. Like the Raiders have been chasing edge back roles a lot lately. They could probably go in for him. I don't know. I don't think they need another forward, but there could be a way they go there. Whether I don't know if the Titans will maybe even look at him. Yeah, I really don't know where he could end up. But I thought it'd be interesting news anyway, because obviously, seeing the news before he went to the Tigers that he probably wanted to come home, I wouldn't be surprised if he was at a little bit of a lesser wicket, that the Warriors maybe make a play on it. Whether I agree with it or not, it is what it is. But yeah, like if you want my honest opinion, guys, straight to the point, I would prefer us play out with our juniors like Leka Halasima, Sifakula, even Iramira that we got coming in for the grade. Yeah, we got some really damaging edge back rollers that we have got coming up. At Jacob Labens, obviously, I'd rather us play that out than sign Isaiah Papali'i. That will probably end up signing for probably 700s, 600s, 700s. And, whether that's a risk for me, in my opinion. If we grab him, it'll be for a reason, but I doubt it. Yeah, tell you, bro. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Latrell at 13, you're still in the Origin chat, bro. Warriors HQ, Wars HQ, sorry. Is this Dallin's last season? I heard he might hang up the boots after the season. I'm not too sure, bro. There's a lot of chat around, mate. Yeah, DH, like him going to Super League. There is a little bit of chat on that, but we'll have to see how we go. Bro, we need to sign wingers. I would be interested to see us maybe develop, as Jazzy just pointed out here, Setutu. I think Setutu. We got Sio Gali. He's someone that I really like that's coming through our junior grade at the moment. If we want to sign a good, like a top winger, maybe, as said, Jermaine Asako. I'm not too sure what his contract sort of looks like currently off the top of my head with the Dolphins, but I don't know if he'll come home. I'm not too sure. But Jermaine would be pretty cool. Obviously a goal kicking threat as well. So that'll be interesting. But again, as Jazzy said, we got some really good juniors coming up through the grade at the moment. Obviously, as I said before, Setutu, Sio Gali, Graham Talfa is playing center currently right now. He's pretty decent on the wings and stuff as well. Even in our junior grades, we got some really, really nice talent coming up through there. Even Basi Gala that's playing, he played New South Wales Cup on the weekend in that fullback role. He's our SG Ball fullback, and he played really well. I'm pretty sure scored a try over the weekend, or whether that was the weekend before. He's got a ton of talent. I can maybe see him maybe blooding in on the wing too. So I think we got options, bro. I wouldn't be too worried. Obviously, Dal would be a big miss, but even the option of like people want Roger to play wing. If Dal leaves at the end of the season, Roger could probably go back to his preferred side of wing if he does end up going that way. We got ways to really work around that. Dream signing would be Ronaldo Mulitalo. Yeah, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. I definitely wouldn't say no to him. The only drawback to Ronaldo is he has like had moments of like errors and probably the worst times of football is what everyone worries about with our wingers currently right now. But his attacking potential has definitely got a higher ceiling, in my opinion, like tackle breakability, run meters, effort. He's incredible. So just the only thing that draws him back for me is errors. And I think we have the same sort of problems or same sort of worries with our wingers that we got currently. So I wouldn't say no to him at all. Leo Thompson and Griffin Neem. For front rows, Leo Thompson and Griffin Neem, I would choose Griffin Neem. I think Leo Thompson's incredible, but I don't think the Knights will, especially the way everything's going with the Saifidi boys and stuff like that. I think Leo Thompson's maybe surpassed them as probably their main man in the middle. I think Griffin Neem, there could be an opportunity for us to be like, hey, come over. I love Griffin Neem. I think he's incredible. I really do. I think he's got a ton of potential. And Ronaldo has the worst mouth, bro. Yeah, but I like that in my footy players, man. It's football at the end of the day. It's one of the toughest sports in the world, and I love my players that are willing to get down and dirty. That's the really, the way I like my footy players. All right, guys, so we're going to move on a little bit. We're going to move on to my who's hot and who's not. So moving on to really going to touch on a couple of teams here, and then we're going to roll into my punters paradise for the weekend before we end off the show, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the show we got currently going right now. Again, more improvements will come. Just testing out. Obviously, we're a new streaming platform and that, so I hope you guys have been enjoying. If you do enjoy, please make sure you like and subscribe. 28 viewers in the chat right now. You are all absolutely incredible. So, who's hot and who's not? Currently on a 3-game average right now. The hot team right now for me has to be the Sharkies. And just coming off their big win on the weekend with the Roosters, they got back-to-back with the Roosters and the Storm. I know the Storm were missing some key pieces in that game. They got over the top of the Storm there. I think they're missing both Munster and Jerome Hughes in that game from memory. Still did an amazing job there and smacked the Dragons before that. So going on a 3-game rolling average currently right now, the Sharkies are scoring about 27.6 points per game, and that's against like a couple of really strong defensive sides. Even the Roosters going into that matchup, I think from memory, what we touched on it last week, that they were holding teams about 18 points per game. For them to score, 27, 30-something points on them at a weekend. Incredible thoughts around the Sharkies and how they're really growing at the moment. And defensively, they've had a little bit of an uptick on their defense. They were holding teams like 14.1 points per game. They were the best defensive team in the competition. In the 3-game rolling average, they've actually let off on that a little bit with a 19.3 points per game conceding. So defensively, I'm guessing it's more so coming up against, teams like the Storm, the Roosters. The Roosters were a big one, obviously, with all the attacking potential that the Roosters have had. We've seen it in the past. I think, that's kind of why, the 19.3 from a 14-point average has gone up a little bit. But even then, I think the Sharkies are in incredible form right now, and getting a big win over the Roosters definitely helps them for that whole chat of, beating big sides. And, the Storm as well, even though the Storm were out with players, it's still a big, big tick to beat the Melbourne Storm, whoever player it is, and especially at Amy Park, where, Melbourne are so tough to beat at Amy Park. So, really well done to the Sharkies. They are my who's hot coming in 3-game rolling average. I think they've been incredible for 3 games. But now we're rolling over to who is not. So we're going to go with the Parramatta Eels. And the reason why I haven't gone the Rabbits as well, I think Parramatta have fallen off a cliff as well. If honestly, you could go the Rabbits every week as well. These two sides have definitely been underperforming. It's good to see our boys get a win over the weekend. They definitely were around this who's not. If you see my shows from past as well, it was a little bit of a worry there. But Parramatta currently right now are only scoring 16 points per game in the last 3-game rolling average. They currently verse Manly, the Broncos, and the Storm. 3 pretty tough outfits as well too, guys. So maybe, this could be a little bit harsher. Obviously, sacking Brad Arthur, I don't see this getting any better anytime soon unless Moses comes back and really turns something around. But 16 points per game is really, really low. I thought they had moments against the Broncos where they looked really, really nice. I think the Broncos just attacked them on counter. Really, as soon as an error happened, the Broncos just took it to the house. So that was a really unfortunate game. But the Melbourne Storm over the weekend, that was a really disappointing performance from Parramatta, and really had my eyes light up around them currently right now. 36.6 points per game conceded. So they've actually, I think they're the worst team currently right now on a 3-game rolling average with points conceded. The Rabbits right now on a 3-game average is 32.6. So they've slightly held teams better than their overall average. So the overall average for the Rabbitohs is 34.8 points per game this season. So they're the worst defensive team overall this season. But this is what I'm trying to give to you guys too, is 36.6 points per game Parramatta are giving up is currently in worse form right now than the Rabbitohs, who are the worst defensive team in the competition. And this is where the Parramatta Eels are becoming unstuck with everything they're doing right now. So they definitely need to fix up their defense overall, but get their cohesiveness in order as well and get their attack a little bit flowing. It just seems like a lot is going wrong at Parramatta. And if they don't change it anytime quickly, they could really roll into a massive downward spiral, similar to the Rabbitohs, what the Rabbitohs have been to start the season onwards. So Jose, Titans as well. Yeah, you could go to Titans. I think the Titans have been definitely in more improved form. I think they've had a win in between that. Obviously, they beat us, and they've had some really good performances after that. That Melbourne Storm game, they took them to the wire. And then the Knights game was very disappointing, and they beat the Cowboys. So for me, comparatively to Parramatta and, the Titans, I think the Titans are in a little bit better form than the Parramatta Eels. And mainly stats wise, I think, the Titans have held in defensively to that 20 to 25 points per game average. Parramatta are blown out all the way to 36.6. So that really sucks, man. That really, really sucks. But onwards and upwards too, guys, to end off the show. Hopefully your favorite little segment, because I love doing it every sort of week as well too, guys. And maybe in the future, me and Levon will be talking. I want to do maybe some more, we'll probably look at Supercoach content sometime soon, or, fantasy content for a lot of you guys that play fantasy and that too. We're going to move over to my Punters Paradise for the weekend. So as you know, guys, if you've watched the show currently, we're going to go through my tips over the weekend. So head-to-heads on each side here, and then go through my Punters Paradise and my value tips for the weekend. So moving on to the games of the weekend. First game of the weekend, we got the Bulldogs and the Dragons, and this is currently being played at a core stadium. Out of the two team lists here, there's not too many changes coming in overall. Obviously, the Doggies, I feel like, have been very much improved this season. I know they had a disappointing loss on the weekend to the Raiders, but before that, against the Panthers and that, they limit teams to their run meters. I think they're the best team in the competition currently right now. I haven't checked on it after the Raiders game, but before that, they're the best team at limiting teams in their own end, which is actually really surprising, especially with the forward pack that they've got. But they've been actually in all right form. And for the Dragons too, the Dragons have been up and down this season. I've seen some really positive signs out of the Dragons, but I've also seen some moments where obviously they've fallen away. This one at the core stadium, I would probably sway the way just at the Doggies, in my opinion. But, I could see the Dragons maybe having one of those moments where they come out and they can really put some points on some sides. I just think the Doggies have been fairly defensively resolute this season. I think the only thing the Doggies needed to fix up from last week was their errors, and their errors really killed them against the Raiders. It did look like the Doggies' attack definitely grew from the earlier parts of the season. They've really found that left side attack, but they've also got Birdo sweeping both sides, and that's worked really, really well for them. So I'm going to tip the Doggies in that matchup there, guys. So I'm going to go probably, 1-12 contest. Moving on to the next game on Friday, we got Cowboys and the West Tigers, and that is at Townsville. Both these sides have been pretty underwhelming overall. The Cowboys only just scraped by the Rabbitohs over the weekend. The Tigers have looked slightly more improved, but I feel like they're killing themselves in a lot of key moments in the game, especially the game last weekend against the Dolphins. Out of these two sides here, I would probably say it's tough, man. Both these sides are definitely not in form currently right now. I'd say the attacking potential's all the way on the Cowboys, so I can see the Cowboys probably racing out to a decent lead if they get everything in order. The Tigers, I think the Tigers can try to keep them all the way in, try and keep them to a close contest to try to keep it 1-12, probably blow out late. So I'm going to go to Cowboys at home, in my opinion, but I'm not fully confident in that one as well. I could probably see that go either way, and you'll see that with my multi a little bit later on this game, because I feel like I found a little bit of value in this game overall. So my tip's going to be the Cowboys, but I don't think it's going to be, I think it could go so many different ways this game, in my opinion. Next game, we got the Seagulls versus the Melbourne Storm at 4 Pines Park. Now, this game was really, really tough for me to really look at, because Manly at 4 Pines is such a tough ask for most teams. that sort of withered away a little bit for the last couple of weeks for the Seagulls. Obviously, I think the Raiders got it over top of them at Four Pines Park and had to get back from a decent deficit at halftime and that to really get over the top of them there. But still, I just think that Seagulls always turn up even early in that game at Four Pines Park. And even when they bring the Melbourne Storm to Four Pines, you know, they give them a hard contest, as we all know, Brookvale, Brookie and all that. So going to be an exciting game. Obviously, you know, Jerome Hughes is back for the Melbourne Storm by the team list, but we look here. So really excited to see how that looks for the Melbourne Storm. Definitely helps him out, but obviously losing Munster doesn't really help overall. For me, I'm going to sway it away because I think, you know, the Seagulls have been so close to trying to get it, like obviously last week, nearly getting over the top of the Broncos. I think that slowly they got to pick something up here. And I think they've got a massive chance at home against the Melbourne Storm. So I'm going to sway the way of the Manly Seagulls 1-12 here. Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the way I'm going to go. I could see Melbourne Storm probably getting over the top of them, obviously with their attacking flair and that. But I think more times than not at Four Pines, I'm going to sway the way of Manly Seagulls. That's just the way I sort of work with Manly at Four Pines Park. With the next game over the weekend, we got the Raiders versus the Roosters. So this one is at Canberra, so it's going to be cold. It's actually in the afternoon at Canberra, but still it's going to be cold as hell. The Roosters obviously still in amazing form. I know they lost to the Sharkies over the weekend, but I'll give that more so to the Sharkies turning up and playing amazing football. I think the Roosters still completed like 80-something%. They threw a lot at the Roosters, at the Sharkies. I think they withered away later on in the game where errors started to creep into the game. A lot of players try to push the pass a little bit more. The Raiders have been really solid in holding into contests, but I can definitely see this one going more to the Roosters. So I'm going to go the Roosters in this matchup and possibly could blow out to a 13+ if they don't get things in order. Yeah. Raiders are usually tough at Canberra, though. That could sway the way the opposite way, but I'm going to go to Roosters, guys. I think the Roosters is there for me. I don't see them dropping 2 weeks in a row, especially the way their form was going before that game last weekend. Next game, we got the Sharkies versus the Panthers at PointsBet. So it's at Shark Park. This one was really tough for me in general too, because number one, I don't see Penrith dropping 2 games in a row. But if they were to, the Sharks are in a good enough form to do that to them, especially, you know, I know a lot of people say, obviously the Panthers weren't the Panthers over the weekend. I think there's a lot of factors into that. But I still think we still contended with a really good Panthers squad. They just had errors in them. I felt like we forced a lot of errors in them, and that was my honest opinion on the game. But a lot of people could see it different ways too. I felt like they probably got a little bit too happy thinking they were going to get it done a lot easier than what they thought it would happen. You know, getting early points over us and just thinking it'll come easy for them, which is not usually like the Panthers. I think that Ivan Cleary will rev them up in this one. And even though the Sharkies are in incredible form, I could see this being a 1-12, very like grindy contest. I feel like it can go that way. So I'm going to go Panthers 1-12. I think that might be a little bit of value there too. I think they might be outside of there. So definitely looking that way. I just can't see them dropping 2 in a row, guys. That's my honest opinion. My next game, we got the Rabbitohs versus the Parramatta Eels. So this is obviously the Spoon Bowl currently right now. Just judging on how both these teams are going currently in the competition. It is at a core stadium. As I said before, there's no Mitchell Moses in this matchup, which is it's a massive blow for the Parramatta Eels still, not having their first choice halfback and playing Dejan Arce and Dylan Brown. And it just hasn't worked for me seeing that halves pairing. Obviously, the Rabbits are coming in with Cody Walker and Jack Whiten. The only thing I don't like about this Rabbits lineup here is obviously the centers, obviously Tane Milne and Cheekham. I like Cheekham. I think Cheekham will do a good job on an edge or maybe as a like off the bench, like a cover player. Tane for me is one that, like, you know, defensive lapses, I can see that all day. And depending on what side he's probably going to be defending on, Will Benassini could probably give him a bath, in my opinion, if he's on that side. So would be really interesting. But the way the Parramatta is going at the moment, especially with them running around the media, like with being the news around the media, I could possibly see the Rabbits getting over the top of it. So I'm going to go Bunnies 1-12. I think the Bunnies are due. I think everyone can feel it. The Bunnies are definitely due. It just comes down to Latrell, Cody Walker, Jack White. And Jack White in that 6th role, he'll get a lot more hands on the ball. So it'll be interesting to see whether they continue to go through that way. And they've still got some like decent players in that lineup there. Hopefully they use more Tallis Duncan, because I've liked what Tallis Duncan has been doing. Sucks to see him coming off the bench still, but I'm going to go Rabbits 1-12 in my opinion there. Second last game of the weekend, we got the Broncos versus the Titans. For me, this one's a fairly simple one. I think the Titans will turn up and make it a contest. But I think if the Broncos are for real, like, obviously they're still missing Adam Reynolds and all that. But even then, like that same team, I love Karabani. I think he's a massive talent. They still got Ezra Mann. They got Dean Mariner, Reece Welsh. Like, you can go through the list here. The Broncos are on form and on song, I think the Broncos can get it done 13 plus here. But I think the Titans will hold on all the way up till probably late on in this game, and the Broncos will end up blowing it out pretty late. But then again, I could see the opposite way too. The Broncos coming really, really fast, starting really, really fast. Either way, I see the Broncos probably putting a decent scoreline on here. And the last game of the weekend, we got my Warriors, baby, our Warriors versus the Dolphins at home in Auckland. Really, really excited for this matchup. I think the Dolphins going to be really, really tough outfit overall. The Dolphins just so used to playing tough footy. Even though they allow tries, I think they concede like upwards of like 25 points a game, 20 points a game or something like that. They will allow us to score on them a little bit. But attacking wise, they're in really good form. They got speed across the park. Then you got the hammer, Jermaine Asako. You got Herbie Farnworth. You got Avarillo. I'm loving Isaiah Katola's work at the moment. I think he's in incredible form. But over the last couple of weeks, I don't know if it's just me. I just think that the Dolphins are looking due for a loss as well. And it kind of helps us with the win over the weekend with the Panthers. I could see us getting over the top of the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are coming in over 3-game winning streak. The Cowboys, the Seagulls, and the Tigers. I felt like the Tigers, they got things together. The other night in Magic Round, they could have got over the top of the Dolphins. I think that if we can get it together, play a very similar brand of footy as what we did to the Panthers, I reckon we can come away with a 1-12 win against the Dolphins. But I think the Dolphins are going to be really tough at home and at Auckland. I think they're going to come across and have a point to prove. But again, as I keep saying, I feel like I have a feeling that the Dolphins are due for a loss, and I'm hoping that we're going to continue on this run. So I'm going Warriors 1-12. And lastly, guys, before I love and leave you, we're going to go through my value bets of the weekend. As you know, Punter's Paradise. This is what you come here for. So my first value bet of the weekend, I'm going to go we're going to go the Panthers matchup against the Sharkies. I think that's definitely a really good value market there. I think the Panthers head-to-head for me. I think the Panthers are outsider. I think they're like $2 or something. So I really, really do like that look there. Let me just get it up quickly. Yep. So we're going to go Panthers head-to-head. I do think that in this matchup here, I think that Brian To'o, for me, looks like a guy that I want to get onto. I think he's at $2 odds for try scorer, so I do like that. So we're going Panthers head-to-head, To'o, and to juice it up a little bit more, we're going Isaac Tungo. I think Tungo's due for a try sometime soon, and that will give you about $8 odds on Sportsbet is what I'm betting on at the moment, but whatever you guys want to play with. I'm going Panthers head-to-head, To'o and Tungo against the Sharkies. I think that's definitely the way they could go. And the second value bet of the weekend, we are going to go. Oh, sorry, guys. I haven't bringing this up. We're going to go to the next game, the Cowboys and the West Tigers. And as I kind of touched on before, I think this game has a ton of value in multiple different areas. I think the Tigers can hold this to a decent scoreline here, even though seeing last year getting 70 points put on them from the Cowboys when they're in form. I don't think the Cowboys are in that sort of form at the moment. Wouldn't surprise me if this becomes their bounce game to do that, but I think the Tigers have been more resolute in their defense this year. So I'm going to go Tigers plus 20.5 with the line. The new center for the Tigers, I love Declan Casey. I think he's got a ton of potential. He's a hard worker. He's just been really unfortunate with injuries, but I'm going to go him for my anytime try scorer here. And to juice it up a little bit as well, I'm going to go Valentine Holmes. Coming into Origin time, I think Valentine Holmes needs to stand up and make his case for Origin. I think this is a game he does it for. So we're going Tigers with the plus 20 line there. With Declan Casey and Valentine Holmes, anytime try scorers, that gets you 12.25. So hope you guys do enjoy that one for the weekend. Jose, Tigers are my upset for the weekend. I could definitely see that, bro. I could definitely see that. As I said when I started the preview for these games, this game could honestly go many different ways, in my opinion. Like the way the Cowboys have been this season, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tigers grind one out over them, but it could go multiple different ways. Buzzman, biggest game of the season. It will show where we're at. Yeah, I believe that Dolphins game is going to be pretty tough. Buzzman, put your fists up. Nah, mate, up the Warriors, baby, up the Warriors. So might steal that bet. Yeah, feel free, Jose. Jump on, man, Jose. Like, that's why I put it up. That's why we got the value bets for the weekend, man. Jump on. Tigers plus 20.5. I think that's enough points there to get some of value. I think that was $1.40 or whatever. But Declan Casey, I think I like Declan Casey. That's just more of a player that's getting back in the first grade. He probably wants to show something. We first saw him at the Doggies. Then when we saw him in the preseason at the Tigers, I'm pretty sure he ended up going down injured. I don't know if he was the one that got head knocked pretty early on in our game. I'm pretty sure it was him, actually. And he hasn't been able to find his way back into to a spot now until I think Justin Olam fell out with suspension or whatever. So, and Valentine Holmes before Origin, I think that's the way to go overall. So, yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming through to another episode of Around the League with Ash. Again, I'll still continue to work on my skills a little bit here, guys. I felt like I was a little bit scratchy after a couple of weeks off of this. I do apologize for that. I've just had a lot of different things pop up overall. I had, obviously, as I said to start the show, my Mrs. Dad's birthday last week. I had my sister's birthday, and then today it was unfortunate. You know, I'm sorry to miss out on my Mrs. little sister's birthday, Ebony, but you know, Ebony, if you're watching this, you know, happy birthday to you, and hope you're doing well out there. But appreciate every single one of you guys. Again, if you want to check out, I'm going to probably do my Origin predicted team list and that. Go check it out on my YouTube channel and that. Also, maybe me and Levon can maybe even do in it All You Can Eat Warriors, maybe a little bit of Origin chat as well, because I know he's a Blues fan, and you guys know that I'm a Maroons fan too. So it's going to be a pretty interesting chat around Origin time. I'm really, really excited overall. Tahi, awesome job. Thank you so much, man. Buzzman, awesome podcast. Appreciate you, bro. DH, show, bro, mean, up the wires, baby. Yeah, 100%. Up the Warriors, Jose, 100%. Up the mighty Warriors. All right, guys, enjoy your night. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully those multis get up for you. Bring some value into next week's show. And also come check us out on the post-match show. Full credit to the boys on Sunday, guys, after the Warriors game. Come check out Wise Up TV if you want to check out our thoughts overall on the game. Hopefully we'll win against the Dolphins this weekend. But appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. Let's go. Up the Wise.